Summer girls, I know you are excited because it is our time to shine. You probably cleaned out your closets, you're looking to refresh your wardrobe, yet you're seeing all of these trends and trying to figure out what's going to make the most sense for you. And that is what we are talking about today because trends are not a bad word over here. It's really an opportunity for you to reimagine what's in your wardrobe, find what you really enjoy, and also just and lean into pieces that not just look good for you and your style, but actually feel good and you're gonna wear year after year after year. So grab your little drinky drink and let's dive into the wearable summer trends. Starting with colors, this is honestly the easiest to decide if it's for you or not for you, but colors are honestly so wearable and so effortless and such an easy way to refresh your wardrobe, whether you are looking at accessories or pieces themselves. And there are two colors reigning supreme this season, and first and foremost is lilac. We are seeing a lot of purples. We are seeing just about every shade, lighter purples to darker purples. If you saw the Kai Collective drop with the good jeans, I will not lie, I am personally trying to remain responsible, but those jeans have been calling my name. And what I love about this is it's something that's going to be so effortless and you can find a shade that's going to work for you. And that is always what you're going to hear me talk about in these videos, is not just looking at the trends, but thinking about how they are going to work with what you already own and also what you like to wear. So if you feel like the softer shades of purple are not for you, any shade of purple is actually going to work and lean into the trends themselves. So if you feel like a darker, rich purple giving regal, giving rich girl energy, that absolutely is going to look fabulous for the season. Right behind it is actually aquamarine. I was really surprised by this because this is something I feel like I've been seeing slowly build its way up, especially if you are locked into Pinterest trends like I am. I am seeing a lot of girls reach for this color this season, and I am personally not mad. I do feel like aquamarine definitely has a really fun place in everyone's wardrobe. It is something that you can wear as a really fun color combo as well. And that's also what I'm thinking about whenever I am looking at colors, right? Not just is it wearable, not just do I like the color, but does it also go with colors already in my wardrobe? That is something I feel like so many of us skip over. And that's how we end up with pieces that don't really go together. We're stressed looking at our closet like, okay, but I knew this was on trend. I know I look cute in it, but why is this so much work? So make it a little bit more effortless when you are considering colors as well by thinking about the shades that already work with what's in your closet. Diving into the patterns, another one that's really easy to tell if you love it or you hate it and it's going to work for you. What is surprising right now, especially coming into the summer season, is camo print. I was not expecting this because typically I feel like this rises more towards the fall and winter season just because of the colorway. But I'm seeing so many different renditions of camo this summer season and I'm not mad at it, but you also have to remember that I am from like rural Wisconsin. Like I technically lived in the burbs, but like literally right around the corner, there was the cows, the corn, and the farms, and the guys who was hunting in their camo. So I've always had a bit of aversion to camo, not because I don't feel like it's wearable. I've just always kind of struggled with what camo has represented for me. However, I'm seeing this in shorts. I'm seeing this with cute tops. If you really want to be playful, you could even find a way to do like accessories like the camo hats and things like that. Or you might even consider lending yourself to khaki as well if you feel like you want a nod to the trend, but not to full on adapt camo, because I know that in line with that, a classic print that always resurges, I would say every 5 to 6 years at this point, is paisley print. And I personally think this is so fun and so effortless because you probably already have some kind of bandana in your wardrobe, or you have some kind of skirt maybe that was like way back in the day, seemed like a good idea, then you weren't sure how to style it, and now with the print coming back out, you can pull out that skirt with like a really cute white tank top, or if you have a 9 to 5, pair it with a blazer and a classic pair of pumps. That is why print, I feel like, is also so fun when it comes to thinking about how you want to refresh your wardrobe, because you don't need a million pieces with that print. I think that's where a lot of girlies go wrong, right? Is like, this is trending, so I need 5, 6, 7 items, but truly one really good piece in a print that is on theme and works for you can transform all the clothes that are already in your closet and just give them more range and more options for you on those days where you literally don't have any extra brain cells, but you want to look cute, right? Paisley print could be something that really helps you refresh your wardrobe. In line with that, I talked about it in the spring and I am wearing it today. That is polka dots. Very much not going anywhere. I think the key here is really thinking about how you want the polka dots to work for you. And when I really think about bringing patterns into a wardrobe, I know this can feel very complicated. I know it can feel very overwhelming because now you've got colors, now you've got prints, and you're trying to figure out how to make it cohesive. if it feels like a statement to you, like the print itself feels like a statement, I always recommend thinking about, is that piece in a power color for you? Is that a piece that you feel like will make you feel bold and powerful and fun? Because that's really what you want in a statement piece, right? It's like, I'm feeling like that. Look, I'm feeling like her. That's what a statement piece should feel like. And so leaning into the colors you know make you feel that way does make it a lot easier for you to reach for. Then on top of that, like I did mention, it better go with at least 3 to 5 things in your closet. If it doesn't, look at me. Set it down and be patient. I'm not saying that you can't buy it or it may not work, but you don't need to bring things into your wardrobe that add more stress, right? If you are already feeling stressed in the morning about what to wear, don't add pieces that are going to make it more stressful. In a very, very easy fix is just making sure it fits with what's already in your closet. Then the last thing, thinking about patterns and prints that you're bringing in and really making these your own, is to think about what you feel like your energy, your vibe, your aesthetic. Maybe you have like a mantra or just like a quick sentence of what you feel like is you or who you are. And then do these patterns feel like that, right? If you really want to give rich auntie, does this pattern give you rich auntie? If you're trying to give luxury, very quiet, very minimal, does this pattern, because patterns can be minimal, does this pattern lend itself to that? And that really will help you parse through a lot of these trends you are seeing in real time and make it so much easier to figure out what's going to not just look good for you now, but feel good and evolve with your style. Because baby, we are not wasting money over here, okay? Moving into styling, I really love to include this because I think a lot of people see outfits and trends and pieces and don't consider that sometimes it's just how you style what's already in your closet that can lend itself to actually being on trend. So no surprise. At this point, I won't even consider this a trend, right? I feel like we need a whole, I don't know what to call it, segment, video, section of like, it's not trending. There's just maybe a fresher take on it. So bohemian styling is trending. Every summer, I feel like, probably for a decade at this point, bohemian has always had some kind of influence on style, whether it is the fringe, whether it's the dresses, whether it's the pouches, whether it's embroidered sandals. I just feel like bohemian is one of those classics at this point, and in fact, it's really more like your style or your ethos. So that's what I really do love about the styling when you peel some of these things back, is it might just be adding a bit of fringe to your outfit, right? Whether it's with a fun belt or a fun bag or a pair of shoes. It could be that you have a really fun flowy dress and now you're making it more professional for work by adding a classic pair of pumps and a blazer instead of going like full on bohemian for the 9 to 5, right? And I think that is something that we often overlook when we see trends because we see it so, I don't want to say cosplay-ish, right? Like, but a lot of times I feel like what happens is we'll see a trend, and because we only see the very maximal loud version of it, we kind of get turned off and we can't really peel back sometimes the things that might actually work for us and really work with our style. In line with that, I'm seeing layered outfits anywhere, and it's literally sending me back to my high school days, y'all. I'm talking about 2006, 2007, when we were putting like double tank tops, double polos. I am seeing that everywhere right now. And the crazier part is I am seeing brands sell the pieces. Like, instead of, at least back in the day, we would find 2 tank tops to layer over one another or a tank top to layer over our t-shirts. But now brands are like, no, y'all can't even be bothered to do that. We're just gonna make it for you. And I do feel like it is very wearable. It is very fun because it's kind of leaning on another styling trend that we are seeing a lot right now, which is kind of like 2000s yoga chic. Okay, I don't know if y'all remember what some of our moms used to wear to go to Pilates at the YMCA, but my mom was a Pilates kickboxing class girly, and those like 2000s crop capris, all those kinds of things are having a huge resurgence. And I think that's where a lot of the layered pieces are coming from, is that like mix of athleisure, but how to make it cool. And so I really do feel like this is so fun and so easy and so wearable. I challenge you to start with what's in your closet. Like, you probably already have 2 tank tops that are closed, and just pair some different colors, pair a white and a black, pair a yellow and a white. Or if you have like 2 different t-shirts, or if you really want to be bold, a tank top over a t-shirt, start with what's already in your closet before you go out and buy these pieces. If you really feel like you can't make some shake with what's already in your closet, then you can consider like buying something new, because it could be about you just not having the right proportions for that piece, which y'all know I talk about in other videos, like the importance of where things start and stop to really work for or against your body. and the outfits you're trying to create. It really makes such a huge difference. So I always am gonna say, like, play dress up too when it comes to these trends. See what's already in your closet, because it does not mean because it's trending you need to go out and buy something new. There is probably something already in your closet that works to be on trend. Next is my personal favorite. I'm really trying to figure out how I want to make this work for the summer, is texture maxing. Y'all know one of my favorite ways to add interest to an outfit is through texture. And I think where a lot of people are going to feel a little bit overwhelmed or maybe feel like this isn't for them, we're seeing a lot of texture, it's a tongue twister. We're seeing texture maxing, but I also see it paired with a lot of layering. And so that can be really hard to peel away, because there is texture and then there's layering. And if you want to be maximalist, you're like killing both of them. But truly looking at texture maxing, it would be like mixing a fun texture tank top with a fun pair of textured pants. I have these jeans from Iro that are my absolute favorite, and last year I paired them with this very simple crochet bralette, and that is the texture. That's two different textures, and we are maxing right there. And that is why I personally love it, because whenever I have zero brain cells but I want to look interesting, if I don't have an elevated basic that I can like lean into, I can always use texture. And it can be a pair of jeans, it can be a top, and the goal is to make sure that it's something that is as comfortable as the basics you would wear. That is my hands down number one only thing that matters. If an elevated basic, whether that's texture or a little bit of asymmetry or something like that, does not feel as comfortable as like the t-shirt I would reach for or the tank top, don't even waste your money, okay? I'm telling you right now, it's just gonna waste away in your closet. Whereas when you're leaning into texture, it should feel effortless. But because it's something visually interesting, you're gonna have a fire outfit. And I feel like living in Detroit the past 13 years now, like that literally is one of the signature things of a Detroiter. I feel like you know a true Detroiter because they're gonna have some kind of texture in their outfit. Like, we are the capital. Detroit does texture so well, and I know that that has been rubbing off on me, and I absolutely have been loving it over the years to just add interest to an otherwise simple outfit. Like, I was just in Cincinnati for a panel and I reached for this gorgeous top from ASOS because it had that texture, and I knew it was gonna add a little bit more visual interest than just like a plain long sleeve or a blazer. Moving into the actual pieces that would be worth considering if you are looking for stuff to actually refresh your wardrobe, first and foremost is always going to be a pair of flowy pants. Now, for me, this does not feel like a trend because y'all know I love me some resort wear. Like, I am good for a matching set. I'm good for a breezy pant. I am good for something flowy and interesting because it just makes sense for the season. What I would tell you to consider is, again, what your color palette is, what your comfortability is. If you are somebody who is colorful, lean into a pair of colorful flowy pants because you can always pair that with a basic top and the outfit's just going to do what it needs to do. Like this pair of pants that I have from Essential Antwerp, so easy, so effortless, and literally go from like vacation to just a casual day in the city with very, very minimal accessory changes. Then going nowhere, and it makes a lot of sense because they are in line with flowy pants, is more sportier bottoms. This is going to be very, very wearable, but it's also going to be very dependent on your aesthetic. I can completely admit that, right? If you are somebody more fun, a little bit more tomboyish, right? We are seeing basketball shorts on the rise, and we are, of course, seeing track pants going nowhere. And I'm seeing some really fun, colorful versions of these as well. And I think this is just so easy for just like an everyday casual outfit where you want to look cool, you want to look elevated, but you're just running errands or you're going to the grocery store and you just want to get out of your like sweats, right? And even though track pants are sweats, because of the styles, because of the colorways, they are becoming more dressier and they feel just as comfortable as your sweats, but will look a little bit more dressed up. So that's why I feel like we are seeing a lot of these kinds of pieces and bottoms specifically, because in line with that, balloon skirts. Balloon skirts are having a moment. Did I go into Zara and try on the set and the matching shorts and then decide that I needed them? I did. And what is great about balloon skirts is if you are looking for an elevated piece to add to your wardrobe that's just going to add visual interest. Balloon skirts are so fun because you don't have to get the mini version. There are midi versions, there are maxi versions. This wolf and badger skirt, y'all still hound me over, is the perfect example of that. Because of the style, because it is balloon style, it's very breathable and it's so fun and so edgy. And there's a lot of different ways that you can dress it up or dress it down depending on what you need to wear it to. And that's what I love to suggest. Again, you don't need 20, 30, 40, 50 of these pieces. Honestly, you don't even need more than like 3 of these pieces. I would say like one good everyday flowy pant, maybe a fun kind of like colorful track pant or flowy pant, and then you have like your fun balloon skirt. That's gonna give you a lot to work with in the summer season so that your outfits don't feel boring, yet you are really still leaning into what's already in your closet because you can just rotate those tops out, no problem. And of course, we gotta talk about accessories. Ooh, it is windy outside. Hopefully y'all can hear that. There is a storm of brewing. But I will say that every summer you're always going to start seeing the rise of scarves and bandanas. That's not going anywhere, right? You have concerts, you have festival season, we're going on vacation. It's just generally warmer. The wind is winding. Hence why you might want a nice cute little scarf to like hold your hair in place instead of like having completely crazy wind hair. So this is something that you probably already have in your closet, and there's so many different ways that you can get and maximize this piece, right? It can be worn as a headscarf, it can be worn as a fun belt. Depending on how big the scarf is, it can be worn as a skirt. The options are literally endless, and that is why it's something that is always going to be super wearable, even into like the fall and then back again into the spring. So keep that in mind, is like maybe you have one or two scarves that feel more summer, maybe a scarf that feels like it's transitional from like summer into fall, and then one that feels kind of transitional from like spring into summer. Then bold gold is going nowhere. We are seeing brooches left, right, and sideways. I personally think this is so fun. And why I love this specifically is because this is something I would urge you to like look in your parents' collection, look in your grandparents' collection, or your aunties or something like that. I am sure they have a brooch from like the 1950s, the 1960s that has just been like passed down throughout the family. And I think those heirlooms are so special and so personalized when it comes to style. Now, very wearable, not my personal favorite, the jelly shoes. They're making a comeback, and it makes sense, especially like with the spring and summer. There's a lot of rain, it's very wet, so you want shoes that are going to be comfortable to walk in. You can get wet, they're not going to get dirty. I get the point around the jelly shoe, I really do. I just don't love wearing a jelly shoe. I don't personally love it. So the ballet sneakers to me is like a really good wearable alternative if you are not sold on the jelly shoe. I get it, girl, I get it. And I'm also personally thinking about like comfort for long term. Y'all know I've torn my ACL 2 times. You're probably tired of hearing me talk about the fact that I have torn my ACL 2 times, but that means comfort for shoes is non-negotiable, okay? I need to be able to be standing, walking, moving in my shoes for multiple hours. Not, this was cute to stand around it for an hour. I'm not wasting my money. So I feel the same kind of concern towards jellies, is I've just not found one that feels comfortable for me. However, take that with a grain of salt. You may find them very, very comfortable. So that is something for the summer. And of course, you're always going to reach for come vacation year after year. So it really does make sense to have a pair like that in your rotation. Next, I did see this coming from the winter season because these were trending then, but they have been reimagined for the summer. And that is just fun, funky hats. I'm seeing so many fun like rattan straw hats just being reimagined this season. And y'all know when I went with my dad to New York, I was trying to make it work. So I'm personally a hater, okay? Because these are very, very fun. These are very, very wearable. It is also going to very much depend on your head shape and your hair. And so far, my head shape and my hair, I mean, you can let me know. I'm going to run the clip real quick. But I think these are, again, so fun, a way to add personality and a way to just have a little bit more fun with your style that is low effort. I just have struggled. The struggle is real. So this is something that you're going to have to be a little bit patient about, is finding the right style, finding the right size. But this just adds that little bit of touch, especially on a vacation, just meandering through a city. Like I imagine being like in Puerto Rico. I have my fun little funky hat. I have my cute little like tank top and my skirt and my little sandals, right? Just strutting around, get my cute little poses on. I love them so much. I'm a hater because I haven't found one that works for me. Okay. I'm just mad at it. All right. I'm just mad at how cute they are and that I can't participate yet. But when I find one, be prepared because they are just so stinking cute. Then equally controversial is that wedge sneaker heels and sandals and pumps are coming back. Now look, I will not lie. The wooden wedges, I am so sorry. These are disgustingly good for the summertime. Are you kidding me? I imagine this like to grab brunch. I imagine this at the day party. I imagine this on vacation. These are so, so cute. Now, you are going to have to be patient because I have even seen Cult Gaia have a pair of these and they have plastic and that can be uncomfortable. Also, the wood bottom can be heavy. So it's really, 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 really cute. You guys know the one that I ended up going with was the Schutz Zebra Palms. These are so cute and they work with so, so much and they add just a little bit of flair, a little bit of fun, and they're so, so comfortable. I know the mules is kind of like hit or miss for some people, but these are really, really comfortable and sturdy, okay? I did not almost roll an ankle. I have not almost killed myself yet, knocking on all the wood. Because y'all know, as much as you want to wear the heels, what is not cute is looking like Bambi fresh out the womb, knobbly kneed and can't hang, okay? I'd rather you go ahead and go with like a sneaker wedge instead if you feel like the other ones just aren't working for you and those are very much having a moment. Steve Madden, I feel like, is killing this. While you can spend a little bit more money on these, the only reason I think that that might be worth it would just be because you are getting genuine leather or genuine suede. However, when it comes to caring for suede, especially in the spring and in the summer when it is wet, when it is gross, and then we go into the fall, that's just a little bit more work, whereas like nubuck and things like that are a lot easier to clean and care for. So that is something that I'm always keeping in consideration. Y'all know the sustainable materials engineer me, just it never turns off. So I'm always considering care long term, and that is the other thing I want to leave you with, is not just thinking about what's going to look good and feel amazing, but also what's going to be able to be easy to care for years to come, because that is a huge part of making all these pieces actually last and having that like comfortable wardrobe. Because what I'm realizing about the girlies who style just eats, they are not afraid of trends. In fact, they integrate trends in such a good way that it just becomes part of their style and they mix it and remix it. And then when you see them a year, 2 years later, 3 years later, you're like, wait a minute, that piece is so fire. And it's because they participated in the trend the first time around and did it right. So I urge you not to be afraid, okay? That's not to say you need to run out and buy all the trends. Again, you know, I'm about patience and really building out what makes sense. But I'm also encouraging you, if you see something that you feel like is calling to you, don't be afraid just because it's trendy. But make sure it at least goes with like 5 things in your closet to save yourself some stress. And I'm so curious of all the trends, what you feel like you're most excited to try, what you feel like is most wearable. In fact, what have you been loving lately? You know I'm nosy, so like drop that in the comments down below. And if you've made it to this point, go ahead and boop that follow button and turn on the notifications so you don't miss a video, because you're pretty much picking up what I'm putting down. And thank you so, so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.